Welcome to Radical Unstocked. You join us at Cadwell Park. This is an incredibly narrow and exciting, thrilling racetrack. We have got the red lights on and they are off already. We are starting down in position 16 next to Jake Pace, not Del Pace this weekend. And behind us we've got Rob Greensmith in car 122. We came together with Rob actually at the first race of the season. Let's hope that doesn't happen again as we go down to the first corner. It is basically flat out at first. Christopher Dan flies through like a missile, hits both myself and George Grant up ahead. For some reason, that's not a penalty. It was looked into after the race. We lose a couple of points, couple of places there. We go out onto the grass, and you have Tom Davies going around the outside there. Got Chris Thelwell behind us. So going down Park Straight, which is one of the longest straights again in UK Club Motorsport, picking up loads of slipstreams ahead. You can see 3 cars wide. It's an incredibly narrow circuit. It's very difficult to get 3 cars wide. I've got 3 cars anyway up ahead. Not quite long enough this straight to get alongside George Grant. Chris Thelwell behind us, under braking, picking up a little bit of time as we go through the basically flat out again right-handers of Chris Curve. Chris again looking down the inside into the gooseneck. It does go right then left, but not finding a way through there. As we go down the hill, elevation changes on this circuit, and behind us got contact between Jordan Head and Chris Thelwell into Mansfield. Not that many places to pass unless the car ahead is being cooperative. George Grant's going to give it a go up into the mountain, and he does make it. Wheels locking ahead, you can hear the cars screeching as they go through the mountain. They're going to be side by side as they go through Hall Bends, or are they? They are. Tom Davies managing to make his way back through. Again, compliant cars need. It's very easy to come together with cars. You can see how narrow it is, and you can see how close the fans are on the left-hand side there. It is a great track to spectate. You can see Kev Bird has made his way from the back of the grid up several positions, nearly 10 positions in one lap, trying to do what Jordan Pimley did in race last time round. We went all the way from back to the front. Not quite sure Kev's going to be able to do it this time. He's lost time down the straight as we go down into Coppice for the first time at racing speeds. This is flat out in an MX-5. You've just got to pin your foot to the floor and keep your eyes open, not close them, as you go through quite a fast corner and then back into the sequence of Charlies, which again is critical to get right because you carry the speed all the way down Park Straight. Cars fighting up ahead potentially give me a bit of a way through here. As you can see, cars definitely side by side still down Park Straight. If you pull out too early though, you do lose that slipstream effect. Braking at the number 1 barker board for me down into Park. Cars up ahead attacking lines, which has meant that me taking the racing line has meant that we're now right behind George Grant in car 69 up ahead as we go down through the gooseneck and into Mansfield after that. So I've been a bit slow through the gooseneck, and actually after the race I did look at the race data and it did show me being quite slow through the gooseneck, and that's probably where I can find some lap time. Anyway, we are down at Mansfield, 3 cars fighting up ahead. Definitely Rob Greensmith there in car 122 and George Grant at 69. I can't quite see who's ahead of that. It could be Tom Davies. I'm not sure if we found our way back past him. No, we haven't. I think it is Tom Davies up ahead in that blue and black car. You can see Kev Bird making so much time up through the mountain. He's really got a good car underneath him through this section and really pushing it. Definitely looking to find his way past. If you remember last year at Cadwell Park, he made his way through at the slowest corner on UK Club Motorsport, which is this one here, at the hairpin before we go into Barn. At this time, I just covered that off. There's no way. If you go defensive there, yes, you lose a bit of time. Not too much, actually, if you look at the gap that's developed between myself and George Grant. But there's just literally no way past there around the outside unless you really do stop on the apex, basically. Back onto lap 3 already in this really exciting Cadwell Park. The circuit is awesome to drive. I think racing on it is a bit of a car breaker. If you look on the outside of the track, there's just grass all the way to tyre barriers. So lots of cars do find their way into the barriers, which does cause a bit of damage, unlike other circuits which might have some gravel traps. Anyway, down the Park Straight, you can see Kev a little bit too far back to pick up the slipstream and then make the move down into Park, which is one of the only really decent overtaking opportunities. You can definitely find your way past at other points of the circuit, as you've seen already. But that move down into Park is probably the most sort of clear-cut move from a straight down into a heavy braking zone. You can see Kev maybe having a look, very close, and we've just seen the double-waved yellows. I've gone down to second gear, just because those double-waved yellows mean you in theory need to be prepared to stop, and you can see actually a safety car is out, and that was Andrew Dean's car you saw up on the bank. I'm not quite sure how he got there. I'd love to see a footage of how that happened, but you can see there what happens when the cars do collect the safety car, especially on blind corners like this. You can't really see the cars slowing down. It's like one of those motorway pile-ups. Anyway, back on to... Yeah, we're now actually just a red flag. So we're going to make our way back to the grid. I'm actually going to pause my commentary and listen into what the race official had to say. I think other people on the grid probably were wondering what this conversation was all about. So here it is.
The wing's loose at bottom, and the chances it can come up and flip and come through the screen. So when you can, come into the pits, and we'll try and get a quick repair done on it.
It's taking just one more lap basically, isn't there?
About 5 minutes.
Okay.
But it can do further damage, alright?
Well, is that a black and orange basically?
Basically, yeah.
Do I have to?
I'd suggest you do, so it doesn't ruin. Personally, yes.
Yeah.
Because if I black and orange you, then it goes to the Clarks.
Okay, alright. Okay.
I'm just thinking for the next race.
I don't have a team though, so there's nothing I can really do about it.
Right, go out and I'll monitor it.
Okay, alright.
I think that was quite a sensible conclusion to that. Clearly, we don't want to be taking cars off the circuit unnecessarily, but you know, if there's a safety concern, we do need to bring the car in. There are several bolts still holding that wing on, so you know, I don't think it's likely to come off. But anyway, we are underway on this second start already, having to get your head back into that mindset very quickly. Obviously, everyone else is frustrated about this conversation going on, which held up the entire grid. But we are down into turn one once again. Car breaking up ahead, and Constantino's nowhere to go. And actually behind, it's just Jordan Head and Chris Delwell coming together for a second time in this race. Smart smoking up ahead, that's cars locking their brakes or tyres. Jordan heads down the inside, which means we've lost at least a couple of positions. It's not been a good start again. It's just, if you get stuck in the wrong train down into that first corner, there's nowhere you can go unless you go on the grass or something like that. We've got Jordan Head alongside us. Actually, we've been able to get a better exit out of Charlie's, which means we've got both of them behind us and got 2 or 3 cars trying to go side by side. There's not enough room for us. We're out onto the grass and we come back on and again, because I think there's just not enough space on the circuit for all the cars. Both Jordan Head and Chris Delwell go onto the grass, spin around. We keep it facing the right direction. We're at the back of the pack now, so we're positioned 25th. So that was, well, not the worst start possible. We're still running in this race and no further damage to the car. But other than that, it's the worst start you could possibly have. So we're right at the back of the field now. The only cars that are behind us are the cars that have gone off. Down into the mountain. And actually you've got Jamie Turner facing the wrong direction in the barriers. So there's one position back up already. This is a bit of a war of attrition, this race. We're at the back of the race, and yet we're still 4 or 5 positions up from the actual back. That's Simon Privet in car 991 ahead. Again, he's had a bit of a coming together with someone. You can see his bumper flapping around there. 2 orange cars. Orange cars seem to have got in the wars a bit this weekend. The other orange car, that's Tom Cannon in car 25, definitely had some issues in qualifying, hitting the barriers. So it's been a tough day out for those orange cars. You can see every now and again I go down the straight. It's a very bumpy circuit and it does undo the top of my gear stick, so I have to screw it back in every long straight I get. Anyway, back through the first sequence of corners, flat out. Simon Privet's lost it on the exit of Charlie Inns, and he's managed to avoid the barrier. That must have been a scary moment because you're going quite fast through there. So sideways, you can see those barriers quite close to the circuit. He managed to avoid contact. We're now going to go side by side. David Sculler in car number 66, and we're side by side with David. This is what I mean. It's a classic overtaking position. Through on the inside, and away we go. So we're trying to make up as many more positions as we possibly can in this race. So it's been a pretty poor start. It's been a pretty poor race overall, actually. Skipping ahead, this is the last lap of the race. We've got Peter Williams and Chris Whitmore up ahead. We've got Peter Williams going all the way through on the inside. We've got the slipstream. We can follow him all the way through. It's going to be the same move as last lap. Chris Whitmore's on the outside. He brakes a little bit later. He comes in and there's nowhere to go. He expects us to disappear, and we don't. It's quite a frustrating moment. Again, after the race, this does get investigated. Don't get a penalty though, which is a little bit surprising because he does actually benefit from that. He does apologise after the race, so I get out expecting a bit of an argument about that, and he was absolutely apologised before I could even get too angry, so it completely diffused the whole thing. So thanks, Chris, for the apology, and there's no real damage to the car afterwards, so it's one of those things, I suppose, that does happen in racing. Anyway, back to racing now, and you've got Peter Williams, Chris Whitmore really going at it, which has allowed us to catch right back up again. Only half a lap later, Peter Williams has had a really poor run out of the mountain, and that's because he was fighting with Chris Whitmore. We're now side by side through Hall Bends, making it a pass done through Hall Bends, up to position 21. And this is the last couple of corners. So unless Cadwell makes a mistake, which he might do because he's locked a wheel there, we're going to be quite close over the line if he doesn't get a good exit out of the last corner barn. Don't think we are too far back though. One more lap and we've got Chris, but it does look like we're going to cross the line, finishing position 21, which, all things considered, after that restart wasn't too bad. But thank you very much for watching. You can see pretty disappointed with the whole race really. Lots of things, lot of action-packed race. But see you again next time out for race 2.